Show me the one whose safety deemed such destruction. This is the one that you hunted, then saved?
Yes. The one that saved me as well.
From the Mudhorn?
Yes.
It looks helpless.
It's injured, but it is not helpless. Its species can move objects with its mind.
I know of such things. The songs of eons past tell of battles between Mandalore the Great and an order of sorcerers called Jedi that fought with such powers.
It is an enemy?
No. Its kind were enemies, but this individual is not.
What is it?
It is a foundling. By Creed. It is in your care.
You wish me to train this thing?
It is too weak. It would die. You have no choice. You must reunite it with its own kind.
Where?
This you must determine.
You expect me to search the galaxy for the home of this creature and deliver it to a race of enemy sorcerers?
This is the way.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Happy New Year. This is going to be my new Mandalorian Season 2 video and talking about the ancient Jedi Mandalorian Wars and why they're referencing them so heavily during this scene here. It's all connected to stuff that they're trying to seed and world build within the Star Wars universe, because the next Star Wars movie is supposed to be set during the past. I'll also reference that during the video too, because there's been some news about that. If you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Mandalorian videos. I'll be doing bonus videos until we get to Season 2 episodes. We're doing a merch giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave all your predictions about Season 2 on the video. So obviously careful for spoiler warning for everything from The Mandalorian Season 1, because we'll be talking about this scene and some other things that they reference. Also, what's going on with the Darksaber. So her line about ancient Jedi sorcerers is the throwback line to the Knights of the Old Republic era, a great series of multiple wars between the Mandalorian clans and the Jedi Order, and also to that funny Han Solo reference from A New Hope when he refers to hokey religions and ancient weapons. Things echoing back thousands of years in the Star Wars timeline that we haven't really seen in the movies yet, but that they sort of teed up a little bit recently. What does this mean for Season 2 episodes, and obviously what does this have to do with the new Star Wars movie that was just announced? So when the Mandalorian balks at his mission as she gives it to him, you want me to hand him over to enemy sorcerers, she notes that they're not enemies right now. The Jedi aren't their enemies in present day. They were a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. The actual Mandalorian Jedi wars she speaks of were fought between 4,000 and 5,000 years ago. It was started by a group of sword-wielding Mandalorians called the Mandalorian Crusaders, and around that time was also when the Darksaber was created. So no coincidence that you see it appear during the end of Season 1. Obviously, it's more relevant to what's happening in present day, but they're sort of connecting the Star Wars timeline with all these references and Easter eggs. So also no coincidence that they referenced the Jedi Mandalorian Wars from thousands of years ago on the Clone Wars series when they introduced the Darksaber for the first time on that series.
For generations, my ancestors fought proudly as warriors against the Jedi. Now, that woman tarnishes the very name Mandalorian. This lightsaber was stolen from your Jedi temple by my ancestors during the fall of the Old Republic.
If you didn't watch that series, that was actually Jon Favreau's pre-Vizsla character, so he also played a character during The Mandalorian Season 1. He just did a voiceover, he wasn't underneath that armor. But the character he was playing on the Mandalorian series was also a member of Pre-Vizsla's house. Those were the Death Watch Mandalorians on that series. We also saw a live-action version of the Death Watch Mandalorians in the flashback. They were the ones that saved Din Djarin's Mandalorian character when he was a child during the Clone Wars when the droids came to attack. See how it's all connected? But the Mandalorians that fought with the Jedi were called the Mandalorian Crusaders. They wielded swords. They were actually started as an organization by Mandalore the person who's known for conquering the great mythosaur that they also referenced during the Mandalorian Episode 2.
I have spoken.
Also connecting these Easter eggs and references to what's happening in the Star Wars movies going forward after Star Wars Episode 9. No coincidence that they're referencing ancient Jedi Mandalorian wars in the series, because like they reference Force healing on the Mandalorian, then a couple days later you see it happen during Star Wars Episode 9. They reference the ancient Jedi Mandalorian wars set thousands of years ago. They also just canonized Darth Revan from Knights of the Old Republic during Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. in the next Star Wars movie is reportedly going to be set during the past. Now, not the distant past of the Old Republic era, but the period they're calling the High Republic era, the height of the Republic hundreds of years ago. I know it sounds a little confusing. What's the difference between the Republic, the Old Republic, and the New Republic? Because they're three different organizations. The Old Republic era ended around 5,000 years ago with the fall of the Old Republic. That's when the final wars between the Mandalorians and the Jedi started. The Mandalorian Crusaders used the fall of the Old Republic as an opportunity to strike out in a bid to claim most of the galaxy from the Old Republic. What followed that period was what they call the High Republic era. The reason why they don't call it the New Republic is because a lot of this backstory in the concept of the High Republic was created after they created the New Republic era in the comics. So they'd already used the New Republic name to define another period in time, so they just had to come up with a different name for it. The really cool thing about this High Republic era movie that they're supposedly doing is that it's going to basically be a young Yoda movie. Now, we talk about Baby Yoda, but really he's just a member of Yoda's race. It's not an actual baby version of the Yoda character from the original trilogy. But this new Star Wars movie is set about 400 years in the past, when Yoda would actually be quite a bit younger, but after he'd been a Jedi Master for a couple hundred years. The timeline is a little unclear exactly when Yoda became a Jedi Master, but there have been a couple instances where he's been quoted as saying that he's been training Jedi for almost 800 years, so it just makes it sound like he became a Jedi Master sometime after he turned 100 years old, which even if you assume that he was a very advanced Force user as a youngling, just like Baby Yoda is, and it took him way less time to become a Jedi Master, he still trained for a number of decades before actually becoming a Master. Most of the canonical Jedi Masters that you see running around in the movies and the series took them between 20 and 30 years to achieve the rank of Master. Obi-Wan Kenobi is on the faster end of that spectrum. It took him just a little over 20 years to achieve the rank of Master. But just to give you a sense for Yoda's timeline in the Star Wars universe, he was born a little less than 900 years before the Battle of Yavin, so he was around for most of what you would consider this High Republic era. Some of the really cool details about the Jedi-Mandalorian wars were thousands of years ago, or that the wars themselves were the reason why the Mandalorians created their famous Beskar armor and modern armor-smithing techniques that were so much better than the rest of the galaxy. The very practical reason that that happened is that at the beginning of those wars, the Mandalorians wore regular armor and were no match for Jedi powers and weapons. Their lightsabers cut through the Mandalorian Crusaders like a hot knife through Stormtrooper butter. And out of their initial failures, they developed their military customs and advanced Beskar metalsmithing techniques. The reason why the Beskar armor was so special, yes, it looks very cool, but practically it was extra strong compared to normal armor alloys, it was highly effective at resisting blaster fire, and it was even highly resistant to Jedi lightsabers. You all probably know the Mandalorians' fate. Ultimately, they wound up losing those wars, but in the end, they had refined their armor-smithing techniques to near perfection, and since then, their traditions of armor-smithing haven't changed that much in a few thousand years. So the customs that you see the armor-smith here practicing on the Mandalorian series are the same traditions and way that they created armor thousands and thousands of years ago. The other important reason why I think they're introducing this much Jedi-Mandalorian lore heading into Season 2 is because the Mandalorian himself will find more Force-sensitive people capable of training Baby Yoda in the Force, but it'll wind up turning into another situation like The Mandalorian Episode 3, where initially he thinks he's fulfilling the terms of his mission by handing Baby Yoda over to these new Jedi, but winds up realizing that they're going to be just as bad for him, maybe exploit him in a slightly different way, as bad as the Imperials like Moff Gideon or Werner Herzog's character were going to do. So the Mando will be forced to make a similar choice again. Is Baby Yoda better with them, or is he better with me, as their relationship and their father-son bond continues to grow? Papa bless. They'll make more announcements about this young Yoda Star Wars movie later this year. There were some people claiming Lucasfilm was going to reveal details later in January. I don't know if that's true, but if they do, I'll totally do a video about it. What's going to happen next, though, is next month in February, the new Clone Wars Season 7 episodes will be released starting February 17th. There are 12 episodes total. That'll cover the Siege of Mandalore and the Night of a Thousand Tears that Moff Gideon referenced during the Mandalore Episode 8. See how I said everything is connected? Maybe Moff Gideon will also show up during those new Clone Wars episodes. Then sometime in August, Marvel's Falcon and Winter Soldier episodes will start. They'll run for 6 weeks, then they'll do 6 weeks of the WandaVision series with Scarlet Witch. Then by mid-November, the Mandalorian Season 2 episodes will start and they'll run through the end of the year. Then because the Obi-Wan series are filming their episodes this summer, they might release that right after the Mandalorian Season 2 episodes finish. I'll do more videos for everything as we start to get more details, but leave all your requests in the comments below. Everyone, click here for my Mandalorian Season 2 teaser video and learn about the Darksaber, and click here for my Marvel New Mutants trailer video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I have spoken.